Welcome to Everyday Emotional Vocabulary. Each week, we take a word or a phrase and look at it more deeply, not to define it from a dictionary perspective, yet to shift how we relate to what we're all experiencing. And since May is Mental Health Month, this month's EEVs will connect emotional vocabulary to mental well-being. This week's phrase is inner room. Inner room is the space within you where something can be noticed without being immediately fixed, judged, explained, or pushed away. And that matters because mental health is not only about whether distress is present, it's also about whether there's enough internal space to meet what is present without being completely taken over by it. And we often think of mental health in terms of what we want to reduce, what we want to get rid of and push away, like less anxiety or stress, overwhelm, less sadness, less pressure. And of course, moving through emotions matters, yet well-being is not only the absence of difficult feelings. You can have no obvious crisis and still feel off inside. And you can be functioning and still feel disconnected from yourself. You can be fine and still experience little room to breathe, feel, choose, or to clearly respond. And that's why inner room is so important. Inner room is not the same thing as being calm, because you can have inner room and still feel the sadness. You can still feel uncertainty, and you can have inner room and still feel tension, pressure, or emotional heaviness. I know this place too. It's the quiet moment when my breath runs ahead and I have to learn how to come back before I keep moving forward. The difference is that the experience is no longer taking up the whole space. There's room around it, and that room changes your relationship to what's happening. Most of us were taught not to create inner room. We were taught to solve, to manage, to perform, to explain. Just keep moving forward and just do it. So when something uncomfortable comes up, the instinct is often immediate. We try to change the feeling or to understand why it's there, or we try to make it go away. Or we might try to become someone who isn't even affected by it. Yet sometimes the first movement toward mental well-being is not changing the experience. It's making enough room for the experience to be seen clearly. And that room allows you to notice what you feel without becoming the feeling. It lets you hear what's being signaled before the story takes over. It allows you to pause before responding from pressure, fear, or habit. Inner room doesn't say, this doesn't matter. What it actually says is, this can be here and I can still remain in contact with myself. And that's a very different kind of health. For example, you might feel anxious before a conversation, and without inner room, anxiety makes the whole environment. Or you may start rehearsing, predicting, defending, or trying to control how everything will go. But with inner room, something will shift, and the anxiety may still be there, but it's no longer defining everything. You can notice, this is anxiety, this is pressure, this is my system trying to prepare. And that recognition creates space, not because the feeling disappeared, because you're no longer inside it without awareness. That is part of mental health too. Not just the absence of heavy emotions like anxiety, but the presence of enough room to relate to what an emotion like anxiety is differently. And the same thing can happen in everyday life. You can feel sadness and still have room for tenderness. You can feel stress and have room for one clear next step. And you can feel uncertainty and still have room to wait before forcing an answer. Inner room restores proportion. It reminds us that this is here, but it's not all that is here. And that one recognition can change the moment. Not dramatically, quietly. It gives you a little more breath. It's a little more choice allowed to return, and a little more truth can be heard. Because when there's no room inside, everything outside becomes urgent. A comment feels larger than it is, a delay starts to feel personal, and a hard moment seems like it's something that's permanent. But when there's inner room, the system doesn't have to organize around the first reaction. So there's space to pause, space to ask a cleaner question, space to notice what is actually happening beneath the reaction. This is why inner room belongs in everyday emotional vocabulary, especially during Mental Health Awareness Month. Because sometimes what we call being overwhelmed is not only about the size of what we're carrying, sometimes it's about the absence of space around it. It's about the feelings that may be real, the pressure that may be real, the grief, the fear, the anger, or confusion. They all may be real, but when there's no room, the experience becomes total. Inner room gives the experience a place to be without letting it become the whole of you. So, this week, instead of asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? Try asking, can I make a little room for what is here? Not a lot, just enough to stop crowding yourself. Just enough to notice the experience without becoming it. Enough to let the signal come through. Because mental health is more than the absence of mental illness. It's also the presence of space, of contact, of choice, and access. And inner room is one way we begin to feel that. Not as something we force, but as something we return to when nothing inside us has to be pushed away. If you'd like today's word, please like and subscribe and join us next week for the next Everyday Emotional Vocabulary. I'm Raisa Nazir. Thank you for joining.